Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Obduction. So with a decent amount of luck, we may be done with this game recording. We're going to Mofang. It doesn't look like it's gonna be too big of a place, too big of a thing. But you know what? I could be wrong. It could just be that there is one gigantic puzzle the size of an entire world to water the tree, and that's it. Where we're swapping is not particularly close to where the tree is. And this could be really, really dangerous. We just don't know. We don't know if these aliens are going to be shooting at us. We don't know if these pillars are dangerous to us. I think probably fine. What's interesting is the sky and the sun all strike me as being part of this planet. And while this is kind of purplish, anything else all has this brownish life to it. So maybe something about that. This world seems to be crystalline based places, crystalline structures. But like, what's the deal with the Mofang? Why were they at war with us? With the humans? I don't even know if I want to say us. For all we know, I could have been an alien on the planet Earth who got abducted. And maybe I am a Mofang brought back as an imitator species. They tried to deceive me and pretend they were Yosef instead of pleading for my assistance, so I really don't have a reason to trust these aliens, but I really don't have a reason to trust the humans either. We can see the tree over there. Seems like Mofang itself might be devastated because of the limiting of the tree. That could be it very much, is that this was initially the tree's way was to maintain the environment became limited. And here we have what looks like maybe a big explosion or a big swamp. Maybe the humans successfully did kill all the aliens and there was only a few left. We're not seeing any real evidence of any of the other alien species or the humans on this planet. Seems like he can go to the tree that way, so let's go the wrong way first. Like, all this dirt and all this brownishness seems odd considering we've been seeing this purple up until this point. Hey, and then we can see just the beginning of Hartnell. That's what it was called originally. Then they changed it. Path. I imagine Mofang is the biggest of the planets that has been swapped. So this looks, that's not Hartnell. This is our Mofang is on Earth, it seems. But then how are the humans on Earth reacting to that? because you can see flames or something around it. Do they not even notice? Do they drive right through it? Is it hidden under some kind of deception? But here's the Arizona, modern Arizona desert. Not when Hartnell would have been taken, which would have been a couple 100 years ago. So best I can figure, they definitely want you to see this just through the fog, so you think maybe that is Hartnell. The tree is trying to do some kind of cultural exchange. Or, I mean, maybe there's no real logic behind it at all. It's just swapping things around for no good reason. But then the roots of the tree seem to connect the worlds that are swapped. But then they seem to also disconnect people from the rest of their planets. Maybe the idea was at one point, and that tree is half dead. Maybe the idea was for it to take the entire planets and interconnect them. Then you just wouldn't be able to space travel. And that wouldn't be terrible. At least for modern time. It would be really terrible if your planet was full of aliens and or if your planet was full of people and needed to find another planet to colonize. And that was the case for one of these species, is that they were about to colonize and move on. I think the Velen. And let's remind everybody that the one choice that I think, well, the two choices I haven't done so far is I connected the battery and then disconnected it. So hopefully I'm okay there. So that doesn't cause something to happen before. Very well may be the case that CW tells me you have to connect the battery now. We've had nobody else really talk to us. We've only seen lines of dialogue. You can see this space area is full of an explosion, so yeah, it does feel like all of these planets may have just been destroyed by, you know, pulsars and emission, black hole emissions. That's what that is, a coronal ejection. And so maybe each of these places are all that's left of those societies. There's no aliens here. We're filling the water, which is now red colored, up. And slowly the voltage is turning up. Wonder if this number in the corner might have something to do with something. So we can now fast travel. We are now connected. Why anybody turned off this water in the first place doesn't make any sense. There's no extra path in Mofang. Was there, like, here's the thing. I guess the mechanical age could have been done or not done, so it was probably added last to the game. But you did have to do the valence section and see the part where the Mofang were at war with the with all the other species before you could get to this point. But that's all you would have had to do. And now we've got this green tree. And we maybe a little bit less fog, so we might be able to go see. The atmosphere seems like it's a little bit different now. Sun is, I think, brighter now. Now I can't see through the smog at all. Barely. Take another picture for no reason. Honestly, even compared to the Witness more audio to listen while you were doing puzzles. This game desperately needs something like that. Like something to keep your attention, keep you playing, entertained while you're playing. I don't think it should be music. I think honestly, CW should have been the main character of the story. He should have been talking to you, telling you the whole story. He should have been depicted as a 99% trustworthy source of information, and then maybe there'd be a twist at the end that makes you rethink half of the things he says, as if they were, because they were lies. And then I don't think I would recommend a second playthrough for a game like this ever. So, even if there was a whole different collection of dialogue that happened, I think what you would have to do if you were going to make a second playthrough is you'd have to play as a different character who is setting up the puzzles, or the puzzles were like already solved, and that second character had a reason to set up all the puzzles, and then Farley could give us more dialogue. Farley as a character and Yosef as a character, unimportant. I feel like they just, in kickstarting this game and doing things like Myst, they just wanted to redo some of the things that they had done in Myst and see how it would work. If there is a new game like Myst, or new Myst game in the series, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't have recorders, if we don't have live action people, if we just have worlds like this. And honestly, they need to make some new ideas on puzzles and adopt a lot of the new things that you come to normally expect in gameplay missing. Alright, let's see what CW has to say this time. Come on, cursor. Hmm. Hmm. So, interesting. His focus on the battery still makes me feel like I should just come back up here and disconnect it. Come on. Battery disconnected. Good. Still don't trust this guy as far as I could throw him. Hey, and this area is now finally clear. Like, I know at least a small door that we've missed. It'd just be like I don't know what it could, it might just be a unnecessary extra hidden room. Ah, and okay, I see what happens. The idea is that you would never, uh, you when we were last here, when that door was there, we were gated off. Because of that, alright, and this won't close, so you can't undo the waterfall, even if you tried. So this gets us to the bleeder, which finally, bleeder being the device that's been draining off power from the tree, stopping it from growing more and sending out more seeds and such. And what do we got here? We just got a bunch of dynamite. So we're going out with a bang. So now that wire from the tower connected. Like, he literally hasn't done anything to help me at all besides connect that cable battery. He's talked about the cable battery way too much. But in all honesty, like, this might be the ultimate trick. This might be where the game says, haha, you've played too many Myst games, you've learned too often to not trust people in Myst games, and therefore you didn't trust him, and therefore you blew yourself up for no reason. That being said, when you look at this game in general, it's just Myst again. It's not as good as the original Myst. Nothing ever will be, because there's a lot of nostalgia and there's extra points awarded to Myst for being the first of its kind. In a lot of ways, this is way better than Myst. It looks better, it sounds better, it interacts better than the original Myst, at the very least. But then it also suffers a lot from an over effort, I think, to make this a VR game when this really shouldn't have been. Nothing here. I guess the good news is that we didn't have to use the number machine or anything like that. And we've done a couple extra things. We've destroyed, I think, all of the indicators. If there is some other indicator that, you know, the recording of the holograms, they, I think we're done. Wow, that was a weird sound. Like animal. That. We hear some weird sounds every now and then, but no puzzle seems to be around that. In fact, there's a lot of things in this game that feel like they were planned to be more, And maybe you could make some DLC around that to say, hey, there's some extra puzzles now. There's some extra things you can do. Like, hear that? Maybe it's the bleeder. It is. It's the bleeder making it. Nice. Who's talking? So So the TV here was clearly just for this. I probably couldn't go down if I wanted to. So I won't even bother to try. Like, yep, that won't work. Oh, I disconnected your battery. Sorry to tell you. Yep. Hmm. And see, we're watching this screen. Like, instead of looking outside. So no real bad guy here. Just one disbeliever. Like, I don't even know. Like, they teleported everybody, what, to a new planet? Just one giant sphere? Teleport everybody to, is this Earth? Looks like it. Looks like we made everybody go to Earth or a new planet or something. Can we go down? Nope. Is this a button? And we just end there. So that's a good ending. Let's skip it and go and see if we can do the bad ending. Load game. Yeah. And just see what that is. Nowhere as impactful or as tricky or amazing as the original Myst. To spoil the ending of the original Myst, there were two options presented to you. Both of them were wrong, and then there was a secret third option that you would have had to have played the game very well and read a lot of extra books and done a lot of extra work to realize that that was what was supposed to happen. And there was an entire puzzle built around the good ending. In this instance, I guess there's just a bad ending and a good ending. That is closer to more modern games, but it's not really in the spirit of Myst games. Fine. The story is the problem here. Like, the original Myst game is two brothers, both of which give you plenty of reason to believe they're both evil, telling you that the other one is evil and that they had killed their father, that the other one had killed the father, or trapped the father, or something like that. So, I imagine the idea here is the battery just drains the energy, and because of that, we'll probably just transport Unwrath. The game really suffers with Yosef being a character at all. Like, you can easily write him out of this story. Have Farley, Caroline Farley, have her be the mayor, have her greet you at the beginning, have her greet you at the white picket fence, and then have CW. You didn't need Yosef in here at all. Have the alien that was pretending to be Yosef instead be Caroline. The only reason why Yosef really is here is the idea that maybe because he's not native English speaker, him trying to speak English as the alien impossible trying to speak English might make more sense, but it still doesn't make any sense because at the very beginning you hear him speak every language perfectly, and as soon as you blow it up, these guys do not like that at all. So this is what's talking. These aliens are coming through the roots. So his legs were damaged. Or okay, he's right there moving. So he was transporting himself there. I didn't even see that. And so, like, I didn't even see that was here. game desperately needs a patch to let you continue playing and give you more reason to play. I hate to promote DLC, but it does. It needs, like, put everything back, find some more secrets, find some more areas. Like, as a Kickstarter game, this is very ambitious and it succeeded, but it didn't quite accomplish what I think it should have done. The battery is draining. So where are we? Actually, it did take you back to Earth. It is. So the tree was taking people off of Earth to save as many as they could. See what Farley has to just say. So Caroline makes it. The dust is rolling in. The nuclear dust, I assume, is rolling in. And the nuclear dust may very well just kill the tree. Like, even this photo mode feels like it should have been better integrated into the, like, let's see. I can't even see where we are and it's just fading to dust. Yeah, when I think about the Myst series of games, they all had more things going on there. So Rand Miller, one of the Miller brothers, I believe. I think there's two of them. Director and writer. And a lot of other people. And no sound at all on the credits. Robin Miller, CW. Yeah. And then who knows if the other actors were friends of the Millers or family. Very possibly. Pre-Kickstarter support and Kickstarter elites, and we're already into the Kickstarter things. Yeah, but like I was saying, the Myst series of games always had a little bit more there. There was a huge emphasis on swapping. And if you weren't into the swapping element, you probably would have hated this game. Even if you are into the swapping element, doing the gauntlet and the maze probably drove you crazy. It certainly did drive me crazy. There is a ton of special thanks for Epic Games people here, and Nvidia, because Cyan is a legendary small company. It's legendary, yet it's small, and so they probably had to hang on to 223,000 backers. A lot of people wanted this game, certainly. A lot of people were willing to fund this game. I think Cyan could find the funding easily to make another game, but they need to be more diverse. They need some new people on their team. They need to hire some young people. The Miller brothers can be the CEO. They can be the writers. They can tell the stories they want us to tell. As far as the story goes, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a little simplistic. It's missing a lot of filler dialogue, a lot of backstory, a lot of characterization. Even the amount of reading, which I skipped over, wasn't a lot. Yeah, comparing it to something like Skyrim, it was a ridiculously small amount. There needed to be more things to do, more toys to play with, more scenes and puzzles. Far too often, we saw doors that simply had latches on one side. Every single door that had a latch on one side needed to have a latch on the some kind of combination puzzle or something on there. Could be simple too. It could be an easy lockpicking mechanic even. Like, yeah, throw in the classic lockpicking mechanic. Everybody hates it, but at least it's gameplay instead of having us just swing things. You can see the actions of swinging and turning dials and doing those elements are so built around the Oculus and the Vive and the way you would interact in a VR that they directly hurt the interaction when you're using a controller, which many more people would be playing with a controller. Even people with VR headsets would probably be playing with a controller and be hurt by that. Or a mouse and keyboard, and the mouse and keyboard is probably the best interface, assuming the game doesn't have the bug of the cursor. Right now, the beta does have a bug with the cursor, which was ridiculous and painful to play the game with that. It probably added at least 20 minutes gameplay to this run just because the cursor was missing. And the game did crash once. And this game is maybe slightly less than a year old, and it needs more patches. It needed to be closer to this point when it was released than whatever point it was when it was originally released. It still has major problems with lagging. Like, that should not exist at all. Too. So they needed a lot more polish. And in just a, if I can backseat game design for, I think if they had spent a year polishing out the bugs, they may have gotten some easy ideas that they could have implemented back into the game and said, hey, we have this great idea, let's put it in, let's add it as a free patch. The idea that you can't even go back to your save to the world at the end is such a abrupt way to end the game. Compare that to the way Myst 1 ended on the good ending, where they said the island is now yours, you can feel free to wander around it, even though there was nothing really to do on the island. That idea is very nice. Get all these people getting named as backers. I hope all these Kickstarter backers were satisfied with this, but I bet in general players probably not super interested in this. There wasn't a lot of buzz for Obduction. There isn't a lot of buzz now for Obduction. Compare this to Riven, you're going to get a more personable story. It's going to look a lot worse. It's going to be a little bit more frustrating on some puzzles, but some other puzzles are going to actually be a lot cooler. there's a lot of callbacks to Riven and the other Myst series in this, but they seem to be just sly references. We found a book that says Myst. We opened that book, and inside it was a computer. So, like, in all honesty, that would have been really easy for them to do. Because anybody who buys Obduction automatically gets a free copy of Myst. I guess I already owned Myst on Steam, so if that was something that they were doing, I don't know about it, but I would integrate it right into the game. Now, I guess the next thing to think about as it's scrolling through all of these, because I want to see if maybe there's something at the end, but I doubt there is. Could it be that Cyan's next project is to just do yet another reboot? Like Myst 1, Riven. Like, they've released it at least 5 times already. But if they did it in Unreal Engine 4 and the graphics looked as good as this, it would sell. It would sell me on it. I would buy it again and play it again. The puzzles would kind of suck. It would be nice if they put more of the like twice as much content in a remake of Myst. Or they should just go forward. I think probably they should just go forward, but you can't do Obduction. Obduction as a game, you could maybe make a sequel, but as a game now, it is firmly planted in the idea of the tree and swapping. I kind of don't want to ever see the tree and swapping again. So if there was an Obduction 2, maybe I would play that game, but it'd be on the caveat that I really don't want to see a lot more swapping. And if they made a Myst 6 out there, I would want to say very limited swapping through the use of the magical books in the series and not moving things around. There is also just a ton of more learning that they need to do with the Unreal Engine. They need to program it better and work with it more. And this was definitely the right step for Cyan if they ever want to make another game, which I think they will, is have a small project. And I think from the outset this was a small project. It could have been even smaller. I could easily see that the mechanical age was added very late, and then the last world where you don't really do anything and you just water the tree and finish the game was added really late too. You could have easily just had 2 worlds that swapped back and forth. And then there would have been the human world and the alien world, and then just one species of aliens, and that would have been the whole story. So, as the story goes, I guess I have to question, again, point out that the main character doesn't talk. The main character should have talked. The character should have asked questions and gotten some story, whether it was truth or fiction, from CW throughout the whole game. And we probably should have had some conversations with Harley too throughout the whole game, through recordings or through live conversations. Man, we are just at the S's. We're halfway through. Were the aliens, were the Mofang at war with us because we were controlling and limiting the tree and killing their planet? Were they at war with us for no reason that's ever really said? Is it in some line of dialogue? I didn't read it. Or were they at war with us because we were trying to go back to Earth and they knew that if we went back to Earth, then we would die? Yeah, I have no idea. Like, really, really no idea. And look, it just started again, another whole list. Seriously, at this point, if you've got this many people that backed you, 23,000, and you're going to list all 23,000, you need an 8-column list here, scrolling up. A lot faster. This is ridiculously long. Uh, yeah, I have no reason, no idea why the Mofang war with the other species. No clue at all. Come to think of it, I also don't know how the Velen swapped the people out in those pods. And even if you did swap everybody in the pod out in that machine, does that mean that that machine is now somewhere in Unrath? Where is it? I didn't see it. It didn't seem like that's how it was going to work anyways. When on the good ending, each one of those worlds seemed to completely swap uh, to the new world. And in the bad ending, it seems like they didn't. And yet Farley made it. I don't understand how. Like, things are... There needed to be probably some animations on some screens to show us what the plans were and explain it a little bit better. And then I guess we get to the Velen numbering system, base 4 numbering system. Too much of a callback to Riven, honestly. At least they didn't go the other direction, I guess. They could have forced us to learn an entire, like, 26 letter alphabet. But, no. Too much emphasis on the Velen number system. Too much emphasis on copying. Really nothing else. All kinds of things that felt like secrets turned out to be red herrings. Cards on the table. Such. So I guess I could just wrap it up by saying that I'm still... This is going in circles. There is some major disappointment just in how the game played. I don't know how you could have improved it though. Once you established that the main gameplay mechanic was kind of swapping, you dropped the ball in my mind. Like, the swapping element could have been something, but we needed something else. And we needed a ton of extra little enhancements, shortcuts, and making things easier. That maze, the way that worked was a nightmare in itself. Just completely ridiculous, and there could have been a way to fix that. I think they probably overthought and overplanned the location of things so that when you swapped, you were actually in the exact same location in the map, so nobody will come back and say, oh, you cheated this or you cheated that, and technically you should have swapped in this point or a different point. Maybe at some point the swapping element could have given you different shapes. You maybe at some point you could have introduced a material that just refuses to swap. So then there would be walls, elements. Maybe you could at some point introduce a hallway where you have to swap multiple areas to be able to walk through a hallway. We did see some of that, but nothing like a combination lock or a very long hallway with multiple swaps. But also thinking about like Portal, I really wish there was more action here. Like I would have preferred if I had a device on my wrist and I could just swap my body back and forth between different worlds by getting locations, location beacons placed. Or maybe I could just always swap based on the device on my wrist, and if I ended up in a wall or something, it would just swap me back immediately, or beep and not let me swap in the first place. You could take this exact same game and just let the players swap around, and that would be rather interesting. And even it'll open up the game to speed running and getting things done. I don't know how you could speed run this game and make it very fast. Like, unless there's some major glitches, which there probably are, that you could use to cheat. It's just super quiet. Music did not help as much as you in this game. It's like the music is fine to sell a soundtrack, but it didn't really do anything for the environment and the story. Often I kind of felt like the music was out of place. Wow, and we're just at the D's, and I'm not willing to watch the rest of these credits and talk about it. Let's. I've kind of said everything. This game is kind of empty on different versions, so like if we did new game, let's see. You can only have 10 games at a time. Would you like to load the game or make room for a previous? Okay. Let's see. So if I come back here and just type in test this, let's see if a new game does anything different. No. There's no new game plus. There's nothing extra here you can do. Like, I suppose if you wanted to just wander around, and maybe there's an achievement. I know there's a couple of achievements that at this point you should be able to get without missing it. But no galleries, nothing like this. I can't even look at my photos without loading the game. That's kind of ridiculous. Rather ridiculous that can't even look at your photos that you've taken. I'm sure there's probably a photo folder, but it didn't even talk about that. Photos. Let's talk about photos for a second. Of all the photos I took, how many of these really mattered? That number didn't mean anything. That number didn't mean anything. None of these meant anything at all. This is, I'm pretty sure, the writer, the one that wasn't playing CW. That didn't really mean anything. That number didn't mean anything. This probably means something if you wanted to pause there. This is the location of each of announcer things, and I've destroyed them all. But I think I shot and destroyed them all. More lines of dialogue or things. You would have had to really make important things. The whole kid element doesn't play any role in the game at all. Seems like it should. The idea that there was a child and they were important. We have some really dark pictures here. That this was totally useless. Apparently my photo mode does not have a flash on it. Then all of this dialogue that is just here, all in one book, explaining everything. Oh, 2 or 3 books and then one tape. Like, you can see how there's only one thing of something in this game. Like, we're gonna have one tape recording to play with, one book with all the important info, one machine that teaches you the Valen number system, and in a couple of places it does get doubled up and you see 2 instances of it. Like, all of these pictures here don't mean anything. I never really did learn the system. I would heavily recommend it. these numbers and dates don't mean anything. They're not important. This warning that is posted everywhere is important, but you also get an achievement for walking up to one of those. These collectible items, ridiculous. They didn't need to be in the game. Everything single carving. This mattered. Like every carving in the wall of what I'm calling the mechanical age didn't matter. The fish element didn't matter. Whether the enemies were fish didn't matter. These toys in the sex room just feels like stuff. These were toys or elements that they bought. Like I could even suspect that maybe this was supposed to be a demo room. I guess the secret room may have been the only point that would have told you not to use the battery. And this is Carolina Farley. So this is like her room, but then it depicts Caroline as childish. That doesn't really make sense either. Overall, this game just needed more polish. The fact that there's these aliens and these look like aliens that you clearly just got out of the Unreal 4. This didn't make any sense. I never figured out how you would get that to work. Either this was a symbol for something that I was supposed to do, or it was just a symbol of something you could do. Yeah, the game would have been a little weird if we had dealt with aliens the whole time. But that probably would have been helpful in the story. If you got abducted into an alien environment, there are no other humans for you to inherently trust. There are just different. The scale, I think the scale probably was supposed to be a bomb or something they built out of a swapping machine. This element, like putting in this number, putting in it turning into that number, didn't seem like it was anything important. And it definitely feels like at some point this game was really just built around the idea that there would only be a few people left on the planet. And this can't be in the Myst series, can it? Because in the Myst series, I think you would want to go back to Earth. Yeah. Abduction's a fine game. If you get it cheap, if you want to play with it, if you're only going to play with it for a couple hours and then not let it frustrate you, it's a fine Kickstarter game, but it's not ambitious enough for Cyan. And it seems more like a side project that they needed to do to learn how to program in Unreal 4. I would argue a lot of this content that we see, particularly in Hunrath, were just pre-made 3D models of things from the Unreal Engine store that they didn't even have to create. So they were just placing things and saying, yeah, that looks good, that looks good. But then the main parts about the loading and the programming and interactions are still very lacking compared to a modern game, and very lacking even compared to some of the previous Myst games. There should have been more things, like more things that weren't just swipe down and push a button. We did way too much swiping down and pushing. Well, I don't think the game even really deserves much more criticism, so I don't hate it. I'm just kind of disappointed by it. I expect a lot more from the next. Otherwise, I'm going to probably think really, really hard or anything they make in the future. Like, And they're going to have to show me a lot, even for the next game, to prove that there's actual more different types of puzzles or interaction. That's it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Google+, Steam, or Battle.net, all of those links are down below in the description box. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.